All right. Welcome back to the Late Show. This is your host, Young Brando, live from Los Angeles. We're going to talk about watches. We are going to continue on our coverage of the Ultimate Collection, which is a live event hosted before the end of the month on May 26th by Christie's in Hong Kong. If you're interested in any other auctions that are coming up this weekend or later this week in Geneva, feel free to send them in as questions. Send any particular lots that you would like me to look at. I'll be more than happy to. My people in the chat know that I've already reviewed them, that I've already gone basically through all of the lots on these, whether we are talking about Philippe's, Christie's, or Sotheby's. But I'm happy to go back. But today we are going to focus on the Ultimate Collection that I covered, or that I started covering yesterday. This is a single owner collection that includes many contemporary Rolex watches, some vintage and neo-vintage classics as well. Some very unique pieces, some of them off the catalog and gem set, very historically significant, as well as contemporary and important Audemars Piguet pieces as well, especially these tone-on-tone perpetual calendars. Some independents here and there, like the Grönefeld 1941 Remontoir, or these many great and rare examples of F. Bergeron pieces. Again, I'm happy to go back and pull them up again. So if you're interested in any of the lots that I'll be covering tonight, or any of the other ones that I covered in yesterday night's live stream, feel free to send in the lot number, send in a super chat, and I'll be more than happy to go back. There were also a number of interesting pieces by Lange, mostly limited editions, rarities, first generation Lange 1, 101, 002, which is the yellow gold version of the Lange 1 as it came out in 1994, but with the heat blued hands rather than yellow gold handsets that matches the case. And this was in a way the centerpiece of the Lange sub collection within this particular auction, because of the number of accessories and books and catalogs that it included. So many interesting artifacts of Lange's history. And remember, next year is the 30th anniversary of the brand's revival. You'll remember that Günther Blümlein took it up as a pet project for himself in the wake of the German reunification, got Walter Lange, the brand's legator, I guess you can say, or legatee, who, of course, was part of the brand vision from the very first. They came out with 4 legendary models, Lange 1, Saxonia, Tourbillon, pour le Mérite, and Arcade, and the rest is history, as they say. and that history is very well represented in the collection that accompanies this particular piece, which was lot 2543. Of course, the initial references, and that goes for not only the Lange one, but also the Saxonia and Arcade, were actually installed with a solid case back, even though they have exactly the same movements with exactly the same kind of finishing. And to honor that, this particular example actually was accompanied with an additional sapphire exhibition case back as well. An ultimate full set of sorts that is even accompanied, as you can see, with the signature of the engraver, of the specific person who did the freehand engraving on the balance cock, which is perhaps the most artistic element in what is already a very artful movement. And the title of this limited edition literature is very telling as well. In German, it reads, the legend has once again become a watch. Die Legende ist wieder Uhr geworden. It's a fascinating piece of history. And of course, that was the centerpiece, but there were many interesting examples like this Lange one from the blue series, so to speak, white gold with a two-tone blue dial, a platinum Lange one with a matching 7-row beads of rice bracelets made by Wellendorf, the 1998 special edition yellow gold made to celebrate the opening of the new manufacture in Glashütte and presented with a yellow gold dial made out of a solid gold blank with hand guilloche elements of soleil or a kind of rosette pattern. And it really is a monochromatic perfection, so to speak. Even the background of the oversized date, even the background of the date wheel is rendered in that champagne-like shade so as not to interrupt the fantastically uniform appearance of this watch on its face. Only the seconds hand, as if to imply the commitment to precision, is set off in heat-blued stainless steel. Grand Lange one in the Lumen edition, which has that partially open-worked and luminous dial, one of only 200. An early example of the datograph. The Richard Lange Port de Mérite with the enamel dial. We can go on and on. Those were just the Lange pieces. Thank you, man. these 15 shekels, fresh Israeli money to suave James Bond of the Archie luxury verse, Archie verse. I'm flattered, man. I'm really flattered. I think at best I can be likened to that burnt out, retired James Bond that Daniel Craig was pulling off in Skyfall, if you remember. You know, who upon his return basically failed all the trials, but still allowed to come back by M. Thank you so much. Hey, man.
Hey man, what's up?
Nice to see you. How are you?
Ah, shit.
Tell me more. What happened?
Well, you know what I'm going through,
I know.
right?
I know. Did did Jamie leave?
I think he's leaving today. Yeah.
Okay, but he did go to Jerusalem, I think,
Yes,
yesterday or 2 days ago.
He went yesterday to Jerusalem and Bethlehem.
Okay.
I just wanted to say good morning from Israel.
Good morning, my friend.
I might join you later because I'm still a little bit mastul. I'm a little bit, have to wake up.
It's okay. In either case, you know, the door is always open to you. This is your home. So anytime, anytime.
And this is your home where I am right now.
Yes, and
And
we shall preserve it.
we shall meet here. I hope. I hope.
I hope so. If not, you know, California can be your home too. I think it would treat you well, and not too bad of an adjustment. You know, California is as close to the Mediterranean as it gets in the
Yeah,
United States. So
that's a beautiful watch. A beautiful bracelet.
it really is. Yeah, too bad they're so rare, and
Yeah.
not even available anymore.
Anyway, Lord, I will keep watching, and I'll talk to you later. Okay.
All right, take care of yourself, man.
Okay. Have
Rest
a
on.
good evening. Have a good evening, man.
Take care.
See
Have
ya.
a good
Bye.
day. Bye. Love you. This. Be good. Be good. St. Peter, yeah, man. I love that bracelet too. And you know, Wellendorf, of course, has that history um, with Lange. I have mentioned before there are basically two centers in Germany. Probably there are at least a handful more watchmaking traditions that I'm not as familiar with, but a lot of what takes place in terms of the world that we are familiar with is between Dresden slash Glashütte and Pforzheim, which has been traditionally a very important center for jewelry at large, and also watchmaking when Germany was divided, watchmaking as part of the Federal Republic. Um, so Wellendorf is based in Pforzheim, and they have in the past made these sorts of bracelets for Patek as well. So Lange wasn't the only high horology brand that they served, that they supplied for, that they collaborated with. Um, of course, you know, don't hate on me. I know Zinn uh, exists as well. I know that Zinn is in Frankfurt am Main. I know all that, but I think Dresden and Pforzheim represent something a little different compared to a lot of other parts of Germany in terms of watchmaking. But going back to the auction, I think I will, you know what I will do? I will start from the very end and work my way back. And again, I won't skip a lot. I think there are so many interesting watches that need to be considered, that need to be um, pointed out, that needs a great discussion. But one genre that has been interestingly coming out these days is very well presented here, which is the double sealed Patek. This particular one is a little different and a little bit special, but I want you to think back, if you can remember. I know I'm both blessed and cursed with this kind of memory. But when I was going through some of the great examples presented for the upcoming Philips Geneva auction, we had a few Pateks that were double sealed, but were actually unsealed, um, unboxed for that particular auction as a result of having to be transported across international borders. And they had that wonderful camera setup where the watch was receiving that white glove treatment, delicately opened by an X-Acton knife, and presented. It's an interesting time. I think people realize that yes, the markets are on a downward trend by and large. They know very well in these kinds of auction houses, especially in the watch departments, that the results this spring will look nothing like last spring, which had already suffered a tiny bit compared to the year before. So they bring some of these very exceptional pieces out because they know that's where they can always make the bank. Because when you're talking about a watch like this, which, as you can see, has the lower end of that pre-auction estimate already in excess of $500,000, you are really appealing to a very different kind of market, a very different segment, an exorbitant segment that's not affected in the same way by the downturns of the economy, by the ebb and flow of the markets, and by the situation in the world, by the geopolitical situation, which is positively hellish for a lot of people. And I just wanted to note that, you know, it's not something that we dwell on very often, possibly not enough on these kinds of platforms that focus on luxury watches, even though they are not all, you know, $500,000. It's still an interesting phenomenon to observe, right? They pretty, even Philips knows this season that they might not be able to bank on what they call a white glove sale. Even they know that they might not be able to sell every single watch they offer. But when they have something as special as, say, a 5004 P that has been just freshly removed from its packaging for this auction, or like this 3970 ER that has been brought out for this particular occasion in its double sealed packaging. They know that it is something special. And this is one of these watches that were part of the release for 175th anniversary of Patek, which was celebrated by, for example, the exhibition in London, which used the appropriately named Saatchi Art Gallery in London. And these were pieces basically that were more or less new old stock, using old movements, old cases, a discontinued movement, discontinued cases with unique dials. And in this case, for example, what you have is the screw down case back perpetual calendar chronograph in pink gold, but with a black dial that has a Breguet numeral at 12, which never existed in this configuration, but this is one of those watches that were released for the London exhibition and on the occasion of the 175th anniversary of Patek Philippe. And of course, as if to imply that this is a piece of art itself, it comes even with a portrait of the watch that accompanies the usual certificate of origin. The seal on the quote-unquote coffin box is still intact, as you can see. And there's the watch lying dormant for the last 8 years almost. This is the 3970 ER dash 028 London Watch Art Grand Exhibition from 2015. Let's see what the good people at Christie's have to say about this piece, if they have anything interesting to add. This is, of course, understood to be the only known double sealed example, especially when it comes to being offered. Of course, being a 3970, even though it is well into the Patek Philippe seal era, you still have the perpetual calendar chronograph built on the Lemania CH27 base and with Geneva seal. This piece was made in only 5 examples, one of the rarest in modern production. Only the second example to appear at auction, the first to appear in double sealed condition. The pink gold case is matched with a black dial with a Breguet numeral at 12 o'clock and a tachymeter scale. Only accessible to Patek Philippe's most loyal and long-standing clients. The London Saatchi edition 3970s were made in 2015, 11 years after the official production of the reference ceased in 2004. For the occasion of the Watch Art Grand Exhibition, Patek released in 2015 quite an array of completely new versions of discontinued models. Also, the 5975, which is the multimeter scale self-winding Patek Philippe chronograph, which was released to celebrate the 175th anniversary as well. That coincides with 2015 too, of course. A little bit more information about the Watch Art Grand Exhibition from London 2015. Christie's notes that it was a resounding success, open to public from May 25th, 27th to June 7th at the Saatchi Gallery. The event attracted more than 42,500 visitors over the course of 12 days. It was a great opportunity for the public to learn more about the history of watchmaking and the world of Patek Philippe. Watch enthusiasts were able to deepen their knowledge of fine horology, and the general public had the opportunity to ignite their passion for watchmaking and artisanship by completely immersing themselves in the world of the last independent Geneva watch manufacturer. This is the biggest exhibition we ever held, and we knew from the beginning we wanted to host it in London. Thierry Stern, president of Patek Philippe, said at the time. We had 21 rooms dedicated to watchmaking with its many skills, showing watchmakers at work, revealing what's inside the movement. This is clearly the benchmark for the global watch industry. This is, I think, an increasingly important direction for not only, I think, discrete brands, but also big-time collectors themselves. You will remember probably from last year the story of Patrick Guetred, who exhibited his collection at the London Design Museum. And there's a chance that that collection will end up touring the world eventually. The Oak collection, the one-of-a-kind collection. So there's a chance that it might come stateside quite soon, and even we will get to benefit from it eventually. And I think that's a great way, as the Lot essay was describing, to both generate enthusiasm among people who already love watchmaking, people who are already collectors. But more importantly, it's also important to reach out to the general public and increase access, multiply the excitement. And certainly, there's an aspect of it that I just hinted at by pointing to that portrait of the 3970 EP. When you use the space of an art gallery or of a museum, obviously you are benefiting from that setup. You are benefiting from that mode of exhibition, of presentation that already opens up these sorts of pieces to a different kind of appreciation. A watch looks, you might say, as a watch collector, perhaps possibly lifeless in a glass case in a museum. But when it's accompanied by the right kinds of events, whether it's talks or certain sorts of demonstrations, and at least some sort of appointment-based access to at least some of the watches, then you have something quite different in your hands. And Patek has been very much at the forefront in availing themselves of this kind of exposure with exhibitions that they toured the world with, not only Europe or the United States, but also Asia. I think, it's been in many ways the mainstreaming of the Patek Philippe Nautilus is, of course, an event that had so many, that constituted in a way the perfect storm, right? That had so many elements to it that allowed that sort of mainstream recognition and hypification of the model. But the 40th anniversary celebrations, the touring exhibition that Patek Philippe used, the Christie's sale that had 40 important examples, so on and so forth. All of that contributed to the direction that we ended up going in. And I think these kinds of events help a great deal in expanding the enthusiasm and excitement and interest from the core group of watch collectors to a larger public. All right, this was lot 2607, a uniquely double-sealed example of the Patek Philippe 3970 ER-028, which is the example of the 18-karat pink gold perpetual calendar chronograph by Patek, of a model that had been discontinued for more than a decade in a 5-piece limited edition, in a revival that combines it with a dial configuration that it never had before. So a very, very rare piece, very exclusive piece indeed, that is also bound to 175th anniversary of Patek Philippe, and the pre-auction estimate puts the value of this watch in excess of $500,000 in US dollars. We have a counterpart to what we were just looking at. This is the regular production model from 1999, but one that is fashioned in platinum. So this is the 3970 EP in platinum, built on the Lemania CH27 hand-wound chronograph base, which, of course, it modulates with the perpetual calendar. The architecture is quite familiar. That lovely cap covers the column wheel in the case of Patek Philippe, with that mirror polished oversized screw that is surrounded by sunburst grain brushed circle. The screw itself is set in a mirror polish countersink too. and you have a silvered, kind of an opaline white dial with baton indices and matching baton hands. A pointer date at 6 o'clock with the moon phase ensconced within it. The two chronograph registers at 3 and 9, 9 for continuous running seconds, which encircles the 24-hour hand. The day-night indicator would be another way to put it. The 30-minute totalizer contains within it also the leap year indicator, and you have the two aperture at 12 o'clock above the signature of the brand for the day of the week and the month. The heat blued chronograph seconds hand that is centrally deployed, and the matching déployant clasp with the Calatrava cross. And here you have the presentation set, outer packaging, and the wooden presentation box. Included within it is also pin pusher for the corrections of the perpetual calendar chronograph, and an additional solid case back, which you can use for additional heft or somehow to hide, I guess, your Lemania-based perpetual calendar movement from prying eyes. Joking aside, very beautiful watch from 1999, from a bygone era in Patek Philippe's history. The movement is, of course, assembled, finished, and regulated according to the highest standards that carry the hallmark of Geneva, as was the case in those years. And the pre-auction estimate of this watch puts its value at its lower end at around 83,000 in US dollars. If you would like me to take a look at any of the pieces, feel free to send them in with the lot number. I sent the link in the chat, and as always, please hit the like button. That really helps, especially for a channel this size. It really makes a huge difference in terms of increasing exposure. This is lot 2605, reference 5207P, an instantaneous perpetual calendar with the tourbillon and a minute repeater, as you can probably discern from this slide on the left flank. Of course, as with many new age platinum watches by Patek, it is set with a single brilliant cut diamond at 6 o'clock between the two lugs, as is the case with Patek's tourbillon watches. On the face of the watch, on the dial, you only have the inscription of the word tourbillon and the number of the movement. And on the back, you have the entire business. Here, you have a dial that is mostly simplified, has a very clean and circular layout. Within the oversized seconds subdial, you have the moon phase, the day and night indicator, and the leap year indicator, which is mostly for the convenience of adjustment, flanks this oversized subdial, and above at subsequently 10.5, 12, and 1.5 o'clock. You have the day of the week, date, and the month. You have a two-tone dial, which has maybe like 2 shades of champagne, even though it is specified as salmon here. A 41 millimeter case, which has these special engravings on the flanks. A matching tang buckle in platinum, and an absolute full set that includes a leather folder with the portrait of the watch, its certificate of origin, the original coffin box in which it was delivered, and the wooden presentation box, which includes the pushpin, the additional solid case back, as well as, I believe, some tags there. A bulletin de précision de marche, setting pin, sales tack, product literature, the leather portfolio we have mentioned, the original slipcase, presentation box, and the outer packaging. The Grand Complication reference 5207 is the only watch in the current Patek Philippe collection featuring a minute repeater, tourbillon, and an instantaneous perpetual calendar with an aperture display, rather than the subdial configuration that is perhaps more familiar. One of the Patek Philippe's Grand Complications introduced in 2008, reference 5207, stands as a true testament to modern horological manufacture. The minute repeater, the tourbillon, and the instantaneous perpetual calendar are all presented. From the high technique of the movement to the beauty of the case, especially the dial layout with easily readable aperture that instantaneously advance at midnight. This magnificent creation was developed over a 5-year period. A technical tour de force caliber RTO 27 PSQI is composed of 549 parts. It is based on the movement developed for the reference 5016 more than 25 years ago, but with the new instantaneous perpetual calendar plate in place of the retrograde perpetual calendar of the 5016. Most perpetual calendars have a dragging display. However, the 5207P mechanism makes an instantaneous calendar display change. So that means that all the calendar indications, where appropriate, change precisely at midnight in a matter of just a few hundredths of a second. The calendar mechanism requires considerable power to operate, so that this factor, combined with the tourbillon, presented a considerable technical challenge. One of the visual delights of the movement is the 14-karat gold center wheel design, which was inspired by the wheel of the watchmaker's topping tool. The making of this wheel takes an incredible 10 hours work alone. They're talking about this particular piece. Although 2 centuries have passed since its invention, the tourbillon is still relevant to the contemporary watch industry. It compensates for fluctuations and errors in time measurement caused by the position a watch is placed in. They're going to some technical details here where the tourbillon as a regulative mechanism counteracts the effects of gravity, more or less, and it was a mechanism invented and patented for pocket watches initially, since they were actually kept in pockets and in a single, largely vertical position. Of course, that has changed in the age of wristwatches. That doesn't mean that the tourbillon becomes completely useless. And they describe in this Lot essay how it comes in handy in terms of compensating for variations and fluctuations in the movement's timekeeping. But there's also the case, and this is not necessarily the case with Patek's implementation, since it doesn't actually happen on the dial side. But with many wristwatches, the tourbillon serves as the marker of a certain kind of romance with the mechanical watch. And it is, in a way, the perfect symbol of the marriage of that romanticism, that throwback quality of a mechanical watch, and its display of the technical mastery that goes into its lingering aspiration towards accuracy and precision in timekeeping as well. So it's both a way of really signifying how the mechanical watch itself is a nostalgic device, is something that has outlived its purpose, just like the tourbillon. It also has the ability, however, to inspire in its movement a different sort of engagement with this object that goes beyond the mere functions of timekeeping. You can also see, of course, from this movement, the gong and the beautifully mirror polished hammers for the minute repeater. This is the 5207P-001 from around year 2010. Patek Philippe's Grande Complication minute repeating instantaneous perpetual calendar with the tourbillon. Day and night, leap year, and moon phase indications at lot number 2605. This particular piece has a pre-auction estimate that is around 575,000 in US dollars. At lot number 2604, we have a piece that is very rare. This is a wrist watch minute repeater, 5078P-001. 022. A platinum wristwatch in 38 millimeters by Patek Philippe. A micro rotor caliber that powers the chiming mechanism. A matching tank buckle. The full sets of accessories, including the slipcase or the coffin box in which the watch was initially delivered, and an absolutely elegant and stunning black enamel dial, and in the style of Grand Feu enamel. That is perhaps one of the most difficult colors to achieve, complemented by painted Roman numerals that are ever so slightly elongated, achieving this slender and stunningly elegant appearance. A railroad track for the minutes, and a separate subdial for the seconds, which has its own railroad track on the periphery. Feuille hands for hours and minutes. And I think this time we can actually listen to the chime. Wow. All right. That was lot number 2604. Patek Philippe minute repeater served up in a 38 millimeter platinum case with a black enamel dial with elongated painted Roman numerals. Self-winding with a micro rotor movement. Let's read what makes this particular example unique from the good folks at Christie's. One of the major stars of the Ultimate Collection, also the title of this May 26th Christie's Hong Kong auction. This was created at the special request of the present owner with a unique black Grand Feu enamel dial. The present watch is presented in absolutely mint condition with the full set of accessories. It is offered here with a sense of excitement that accompanies the appearance of any world-class unique Patek at auction, with documented unique custom-ordered certificate of origin, confirms the Grand Feu black enamel dial, inscribed Emai at 6 o'clock in confirmation. The platinum minute repeating wristwatch is the only known example of the reference 5078P-022, and as such, one of the most significant individual specimen of this already ultra-rare reference. This inscription is for enamel dial, Emai, and the certificate of origin actually confirms how this piece left the factory with émail noir, a black enamel dial with Roman numerals painted in white. This one-of-a-kind example of the 5078P-022 at lot number 2604 is presented with a pre-auction estimate that puts the value of the watch in excess of 330,000 in US dollars. Hey, Maldives. Yeah, black is usually a little more rare because of what I just mentioned. It's simply a harder color to set in enamel. I'm not gonna venture out and say it's the hardest. I mean, I'm not an enamel artist. I'm not a watchmaker, but what I've read upon it always specifies that in the grand feu style, it's one of the most difficult things to achieve. And it's nice to see you. I love seeing you in the chat. And thank you, as always, for participating. This is lot number 2603. Once again, we have an example of a double-sealed Patek. Comes with its full set of accessories, product literature, the leather folder, the certificate of origin, the wooden presentation box. And the piece is actually still unopened, as you can see from the seals on that slipcase. And this is what we are looking at. A 5270G-24. Again, distinguished by its blue dial with the applied Breguet numerals. This is, of course, the 41 millimeter case that is built on the basis of the in-house Patek Philippe movement, which is CH29. But let's read a little about it. This is the only publicly known reference 5270G-024 with the blue dial, white gold Breguet numerals, which is fully confirmed by the certificate of origin as having left the manufacturer with that dial configuration. The piece remains double sealed. This is truly a mystery to me, to be honest. I mean, again, we don't know the circumstances of what brings this collection to auction. And I don't want to speculate because most of the options are sad circumstances, but it is very unique, and also one is filled with a tinge of sadness that something as unique as this has lived for 5-6 years now in a double sealed box. And perhaps this is an occasion to celebrate a little bit, because it is finally going to an owner who will hopefully release it and enjoy it, wear it as it's ought to be worn. The Breguet numerals on this configuration again are unique, even though there was a sunburst blue dial in the regular production. So this particular detail sets the example of the 5270G dash 024 apart from every other example. The pre-auction estimate puts the value of the watch right around in excess, I should say, $150,000. That was lot number 2603. This was the double sealed piece with the unique blue dial applied Breguet numerals. Lot 2602. This was one of the novelties introduced in Watches and Wonders 2022 with that fumé green dial. The 5270P, basically the same perpetual calendar chronograph in platinum here, and with green dial, which formed part of a trio, if I'm not mistaken, when it was released in last year's edition of Watches and Wonders. The piece comes with its full set of accessories, including the certificate of origin, of course, the additional solid case back in matching material, sales tags, the pusher, the pin for the adjustments, the matching déployant clasp in platinum with the Calatrava cross. Here's a peek into the movement for this perpetual calendar chronograph, the CH29-535. PS and Q. PS for Petit Seconde and Q for the calendrical functions. Day and night indication at between 7 and 8 o'clock, and leap year indication between 4 and 5. Of course, these are the two chronograph registers. Green lacquer gradient dial. The 41 millimeter case with the stepped lugs that have kind of spider lug sort of appearance. Very multi-layered and modern-looking case with a relatively substantive bezel surrounding the crystal. This is the Platinum Perpetual Calendar chronograph with Patek, with indications for moon phases, leap year, and day and night. 5270P-014 with the gradient lacquered green dial. The piece has a pre-auction estimate, which places its value at its lower end in excess of 150,000 US dollars. We have another 5270 in this case with the salmon dial. And the dial fixtures, including the Arabic numerals and the set of feuille hands, are rendered in blackened white gold. I'll take a quick break right here. This is the end of the first hour of the broadcast. I'll be back in a couple of minutes to continue. I will be live for at least a couple of hours tonight, so stay tuned. We are going to cover the Patek Philippe part of the Ultimate Collection, which is a live auction coming up before the end of the month in Hong Kong by Christie's on May 26th. All right, I'm back. Once again, if you would like me to go into any of these lots in some detail, feel free to send them in with a super chat. Send in the lot number with a super chat, and I'll be more than happy to cover it for you. If you want me to go back to one of the lots, that I already covered, feel free to do that as well. As long as you send in the lot number, I'll be more than happy to cover them again and go even into further detail. I really do appreciate your support and presence. So hit the like button if you have not already. We are looking at lot number 2601 from the Ultimate Collection, a single owner collection that is the subject of a live auction coming up on May 26th at Christie's Hong Kong. This is one of the many platinum Patek perpetual calendar chronographs that are presented at this auction. This is a 5270p 41 millimeter contemporary case with those spider-like stepped lugs. Beautiful salmon dial, Arabic numerals. The dial fixtures are in blackened white gold, including those Arabic numerals and the feuille hands for the hours and minutes, the leaf-shaped hands for hours and minutes, as well as the chronograph hands. This is from 2018. And 5270 presents the one of the examples after 5170 where the in-house caliber 29-535 PS was introduced. 5270 replaced the 5970, which had a 39 millimeter case and was in its turn still based on the Nouvelle Lemania Bosch CH27 rather than the new in-house caliber, which powers the 5270 and combines a hand-wound chronograph with the perpetual calendar. Lot number 2601, 5270P-001 with the salmon dial, has a pre-auction estimate which puts its value at the lower end of that estimate in excess of 140,000 in US dollars. We have the same piece in white gold in a 41 millimeter white gold case with those stylized stepped lugs. And this time we have a silvered opaline white dial, which has, again, those blackened white gold fixtures on the dial, stick markers combined with leaf-shaped hands. The 5270G-001 from around year 2012, with its full set of accessories, including an additional solid case back, matching deployant clasp with the Calatrava cross. Here you can peek into the in-house caliber CH29-535 PS Coup. This is lot number 2600 with a pre-auction estimate, which at its lower end puts the value of this watch right around 64,000 in US dollars. At lot 2599, we have a limited edition white gold Patek Philippe World Time with matching cufflinks that are rendered in a stunning combination of white gold and onyx, with the hard stone insert serving as a background to the Calatrava cross. Both the set of the cufflinks and the World Time watch is preserved as double sealed, as you can see from these boxes. They have never been opened since they left the manufacturer. This is an edition of Patek's famous World Time watch that was released for the 220th anniversary of Oodles. Oodles is a British luxury jewelry company that traces its origins all the way back to the late 18th century. I think their headquarters now is on the New Bond Street in London. This piece was released in 2018 and has a very unique center dial, which is black with the guilloche pattern. And with Liverpool being, I think, the point of origin for the Boodles brand, Liverpool is presented on the city's ring, which is not something you see every day, in this shade of true red, or kind of like a pink. This is the first time that this piece is seen in auction. It is one of the only 50 pieces. The World Time in question is the 5230G, again with the unique black guilloche dial. Liverpool in the city's ring, right next to Cairo, must appeal to perhaps a Liverpool fan, was also a fan of Mohamed Salah. And the piece also uniquely comes with a set of white gold Calatrava cross cufflinks, which have an onyx background as well to match with that black dial of the 5230G. The white gold Patek Philippe World Timer in a 38.5 millimeter case. This is lot number 2599. The estimated value of the watch puts at its lower end is in excess of $51,000. The estimated value at its lower end is in excess of 51,000 in US dollars. Lot 2598 is another world time watch, but this piece famously, after the style of 5930, combines the world time complication with the self-winding flyback chronograph with a single 30-minute totalizer register presented in the form of a subdial at 6 o'clock. This was a piece released last year in a 41 millimeter steel case. The reference number is actually 5935A-001. The piece itself is from this year. It comes with the matching déployant clasp with the Calatrava cross. Here is a peek into the movement. And in contrast with the white metal case, rendered, as I mentioned, in stainless steel, the piece has a striking salmon dial, which has the traditional basket weave pattern at the center, but it is, in this particular case, likened to a carbon fiber pattern to perhaps emphasize the sporty aspect of the watch. This is lot number 2598, reference 5935A, the world time self-winding flyback chronograph in stainless steel 41 millimeter case. The pre-auction estimate places the value of this watch in excess of 57,400 in US dollars. Hey, Polly. Nice to see you, man. At 2597, we have a ladies version of the world time, once again double sealed in an example that was released to commemorate the 175th anniversary of Patek Philippe that was celebrated back in 2015. You can see this unique presentation box, the commemorative medallion, the certificate of origin, and attestation, product literature, of course. This is the 7175R 001. Diamond set bezel in pink gold with a very unique center dial that's that has a very unique moon phase display, apparently. Let's read it carefully. This is a 36.5 millimeter pink gold case, one of the only 450 examples presented here in the same way that it left the manufacturer. This piece is based on the micro rotor caliber 240 HU-LU. The central disc is adorned with two moons. Instead, instead of the usual aperture for the moon phase indicator, a single large, richly atmospheric a moon turns clockwise at the center of the dial against a star-studded nocturnal sky. The effect is achieved with two very thin discs of mineral glass. The lower disc, depicting the moon, completes a rotation in a lunar month. The fixed upper disc is a heart-shaped mask. Its outline reveals the changing visible portion of the moon night after night with astonishing accuracy. A complex new metallization technique has produced a moon whose face stands out against its starry background with almost photographic realism. The dial is complemented with the specially designed hour hand in the shape of the Southern Cross, a constellation often used for navigation. The piece is rendered in 18-karat pink gold, and its bezel is set with diamonds. The shape of the lugs is in the form of lyre, so it's a little different from its contemporary world time references such as 5110 and 5130. No crown guards. Very elegant piece. Once again, the center of the dial is not a mere decoration in this case. Two discs that are superimposed on each other, with the lower disc representing the moon, which completes its rotation in a lunar month, and the upper disc serving in heart-shaped fashion as a form of opening, which depicts the phase of the moon in a very faithful fashion. The hour hand is shaped like the Southern Cross for a special touch for this particular piece. Again, the full set of accessories for the 175th anniversary celebrated in 2014. The unique world time moon phase reference 7175R, which is also presented in a unique 36.5 lyre lug case. This is a double sealed version, exactly in the same way that it left the manufacturer. Lot number 2597. The pre-auction estimate puts the value of the watch in excess of 70,000 in US dollars. At lot number 2596, we have the masculine counterpart of what we were looking at 2597. This is the 5575G. The case is in 40 millimeters, but follows the shape with its lyre lugs of its feminine counterpart. Once again, at the center of the dial, you actually have a moon phase indicator rather than a mere decorative element, whether it is guilloche or Clauserne enamel. This is something that's a little more special with one more trick up its sleeve. One of 1,300 pieces released to celebrate Patek's 175th anniversary. At lot number 2596, the limited edition 40 millimeter 18 karat white gold world time moon phase, presented here double sealed in the exact same way in which it left the manufacturer. This is the reference 5575G-001. The pre-auction estimate puts the value of this watch at its lower end in excess of 83,000 in US dollars. We have back to back a few very interesting pieces. The 5960. Let's go to lot number 2594. Double sealed. This is the 5960/1A-010. The combination of the annual calendar and the flyback, self-winding flyback chronograph, presented here in the more rare example with the black dial. Stainless steel on a matching 5-row beads of rice bracelet from the last year of its production, if I'm not mistaken, in stainless steel. This particular reference is no longer in production. In many ways, I think this is one of the best combos of the contemporary era in Patek, perhaps providing a more youthful and modern take on what is one of the most iconic releases in Patek Philippe's calendar, the 1518, which in the form of a single compact wristwatch at 35 millimeters brought together the perpetual calendar and the hand-wound chronograph. Consider the 5960, the 21st century counterpart to that, in that it celebrated the 10th anniversary of Patek's proprietary annual calendar in a combination with its new self-winding flyback chronograph movement, resulting, especially in the stainless steel version with the matching bracelet, a piece that was both utilitarian and complex. In the black dial, it is even more rare than the white. I think they're both quite desirable, especially after they have been discontinued. And at lot 2594, this particular example with the black dial is actually presented as double sealed in the exact same way it left the manufacturer in Plain-les-Ouates, and the pre-auction estimate puts the value of that watch, its lower end, in excess of 63,800 in US dollars. Thank you. Thank you, Van Lux. Canadian 279. Lord have mercy. May Lord have mercy upon all of us, because God knows I don't show any mercy. At lot number 2595, we have the same piece in platinum. The precious metal versions, including the platinum, were presented on leather straps with matching déployant clasps. This is the case here with the 5960P-001. Here is a peek into the movement. This is a pre-2009 example, so you can still see the hallmark of Geneva etched on the bridge plate of the movement. Of course, the full gold rotor weight adorned, engraved with the Calatrava cross as well. The platinum example quite beautifully has also an anthracite sunburst gray dial. And as you can see, everything is combined in a very handy way into an oversized single register that serves as a 30-minute totalizer, continuous running seconds, as well as a 12-minute counter. Of course, within that, there's also a day and night indicator, mostly for the convenience of adjustment. At 12 o'clock, right under the aperture for the date, you have a power reserve, very subtly indicated with a micro hand. Day of the week by 10 o'clock and month by 2 o'clock. The handset is leaf-shaped and loomed, which goes well with the baton markers, supplemented by luminous pips right behind them for each hour. This is the 5960P-001 from 2008. The estimated value of the piece at its low end is around 40,900 US dollars. We have the 5905, which is the 42 millimeter, perhaps renewed version, we can say, of the 5960. I think it's not as exciting. It's not as elegant. It's not as sporty. I don't know. I've never warmed up to it, but this is also an annual calendar combined with a flyback chronograph function in a 42 millimeter case and a bracelet that, at least in my estimation, leaves much to be desired. But once again, you have a stainless steel piece on a stainless steel matching bracelet. Once again, a green dial, which has become very popular after blue, even though its time has come and gone. I think now everyone goes with salmon. And lots number 2593, which is reference 5905/1A-001 from 2021, has a pre-auction estimate that puts its value at its lower end in excess of 51,000 in US dollars. $25.92, lot number 2592, is another annual calendar watch by Patek Philippe. This is in an 18 karat pink gold case with pierced lugs. The piece has a sunburst gradient olive green dial. The annual calendar is displayed in the form of 3 apertures in the upper half of the dial. There's also a moon phase at 6 o'clock and a 24-hour hand in that oversized subdial that serves as a day and night indicator. The hour markers are in the form of stick markers, Dauphine hands for hours and minutes, and sweep seconds hand at the center completes the picture. This is a 5205R-001, an 18 karat pink gold annual calendar with a moon phase and a day and night indicator, 24-hour hand by Patek Philippe, matched with a tank buckle with an estimated value of 300,000 in Hong Kong dollars, which puts the pre-auction estimated value of the watch at the lower end in excess of 38,000 US dollars. We have the 5212A-001 at lot number 2591. This is the famous weekly calendar in a stainless steel Calatrava case with a very touching origin story, which apparently arrived in the form of a sketch on Thierry Stoun's desk, on the president's desk, which he wanted to approve with this quirky, playful sans serif font. A very youthful, even sporty look for a Calatrava, matched with the stainless steel case, makes this a very interesting proposition. At 40 millimeters, it bears the dimensions of a modern dress watch as well, so it can really go either way. This piece comes with its full set of accessories and arrives at the hands of its new owner in a double sealed fashion, exactly in the way in which it left the Patek Philippe manufacturer in 2021. The pre-auction estimates puts the value of this watch at its lower end, in excess of 30,600 in US dollars. At lot number 2588, we have the reference 5059J. This is the classically styled Patek Philippe perpetual calendar with the retrograde date indication. It is classically styled and classically styled in a very particular way. And that is kind of the officer's case styling, we can call it, both with the screwed in spring bars and the half hunter case or the officer case back. The deployant clasp with the Calatrava cross in matching 18 karat yellow gold. .36mm case, a white dial with black painted Roman numerals, a self-winding perpetual calendar movement based on caliber 315 base and with a 21 karat gold full rotor. There's a moon phase at 6 o'clock, centrally deployed seconds, a leap year indicator at around 12 o'clock. At 3 o'clock, you have an aperture for the month, and at 9 o'clock, you have another for the day of the week. And in the form of a downward facing crescent, you have a fan-like scale for the date, which is indicated by a retrograde hand and which snaps back to 1 at the beginning of each month. This is reference 5059, a Patek Philippe perpetual calendar with the retrograde date hand in a 36mm 18 karat gold case with the additional moon phase and leap year indications. This piece from year 2005 at lot number 2588 has a pre-auction estimate, which at its lower end puts the value of the timepiece in excess of 20,400 in US dollars. At 2586, we have a Calatrava that in so many ways served as an inspiration and serves as the point of germination for a lot of the newly introduced Calatrava pieces in gold this year. We had the colorful 6007G references with the black carbon fiber style dials. This is the 6000A-001. We have a 40 millimeter stainless steel case with a blue dial, carbon fiber pattern at the center of the dial. This three-hander with the date at 3 o'clock was released in 2019 in a limited run of 1,000 pieces to celebrate the opening of the new Plan-les-Ouates manufacture for Patek Philippe. The piece comes with a matching stainless steel tank buckle on textured leather strap with contrast stitching that matches the blue of the dial. Lot number 2586, reference 6007A stainless steel Calatrava, released in a limited run of 1,000 watches to celebrate the opening of the new manufacturer in 2019, has an estimate that at its lower end is in excess of 44,700 in US dollars. We have another double sealed piece at lot number 2585. This is the Patek Philippe Aquanaut flyback chronograph, 5968G-001 from 2021. This is the 42 millimeter white gold case that houses the self-winding flyback chronograph movement. The piece is complemented by a blue dial with the globescape pattern and a tropic style rubber band that echoes with the same design elements as the dial and sits flush at the lugs and the case. Lot number 2585 is the Aquanaut flyback chronograph by Patek Philippe in a 42 millimeter white gold case with the blue dial and matching rubber strap. Here offered in a double sealed fashion, just as it left the manufacturer in 2021. The lower end of the estimates sets the value of this watch in excess of 76,600 in US dollars. Please hit the like button. It really, really does help boost the channel. Really appreciate your support and presence. Once again, if you want me to look at any of the pieces that I've skipped, or if you would like me to go back to any of the other pieces, feel free to click the link. And if you send me what you like with the super chat indicating the lot number, I'll be more than happy to dive into it in some historical and horological detail. This is lot number 2584. The stainless steel self-winding flyback chronograph in the Aquanaut case, 42 millimeters as well. This is the 5968A-001. It's distinguished by the orange accents on the dial, which are not limited to the graduation of the 60-minute counter, but both chronograph hands for the minute counter as well as the centrally deployed chronograph hand are rendered in orange. And this particular example is actually sold with an additional orange tropic style rubber strap from 2019. This is Patek Philippe Aquanaut self-winding flyback chronograph in stainless steel, 5968A. The pre-auction estimate puts the value of this watch at its lower end in excess of 76,600 in US dollars. At 2583, we have the same model, the 5968, in white gold. So once again, we have the 42 millimeter plus case in white gold with a khaki green dial matched with a tropic style rubber strap for this Patek Philippe Aquanaut self-winding flyback chronograph. The khaki green is extremely desirable when it comes to this watch, and with apparently the matching rubber strap having been discontinued, even the straps on the secondary market are now going for thousands of dollars. So it's very hard to put into words the kind of hype that these Aquanaut pieces have seen over the last few years. Lot number 2583, 5968G-010 from 2022. The pre-auction estimate puts the value of this watch at its lower end in excess of 89,000 in US dollars. At lot number 2582, we have the reduced size Patek Philippe Aquanaut with a quartz movement. This is 38.8 millimeter case. As you can see, the pattern on the dial and on the bracelet is a little different, is more in the style of chocolate bar, as I like to call it sometimes, or perhaps like a grenade. The cuts are a little deeper on the dial, which give it that sort of prominent textured design. This piece is also set with a bezel with factory set diamonds in it. And the three-hander also has a date at 3 o'clock. This is the 5267/200A from 2021. The Patek Philippe ladies stainless steel Aquanaut with the diamond set bezel in 38.8 millimeter case at lot number 2582. The pre-auction estimate for this watch puts its value in excess of $30,000, even at its lower end. At lot number 2581, we have another piece, another watch that owes a lot of the fanfare around it to John Mayer. But overall, the Aquanaut is one of those models, one of those designs that really came into its own with the complications. We have talked about all those flyback chronographs that, with their enlarged cases, were extremely desirable and continue to be very aspirational and largely unobtainable today. But it was really the 5164A, the Aquanaut travel time in stainless steel, that made the Aquanaut take off in a different way. This is lot number 2581 for the Aquanaut travel time in stainless steel, 5164A. The pre-auction estimate puts the value of this watch at its lower end at around $44,700 in US dollars. At 2580, we have the stainless steel Aquanaut, plain and simple, with the sunburst black globescape dial with its tropic band flush, sitting flush at the case. The 5167 was released in 2007 to celebrate the 10th anniversary of the design's introduction, which is said to have been the brainchild of one of the emergent independent watchmakers today, namely Laurent Ferrier. 5167 included a jumbo case in 40 millimeter, here rendered in stainless steel with the matching butterfly style déployant clasp. This particular example is from 2021. The version of the Aquanaut as time and date only, with sweep center seconds at lot number 2580. This is a 5167A. The pre-auction estimates dictates that the minimum value, which probably coincides with the reserve price, though that can be even less, with 38,300 in US dollars. Lot number 2579 is the Aquanaut's advanced research model, namely the reference 5650G from 2018. This particular piece, pardon me, Comes with its full set of accessories with a gradient blue globescape dial that is partially open worked in the form of a cutout that exposes the mechanisms for the travel time pushers that allow the skeletonized local time hands to go back and forth in 1 hour increments. Two day and night indicators, both for the local and home/reference time. This particular piece was made in 500 pieces, made in a limited run of 500 pieces in the 40 plus 8 millimeter 18 karat white gold case. This particular example comes with its full set of accessories at lot number 2579. As with all advanced research models, this particular example, 5650G, released in 2017, showcases some horological innovations. The new flexible mechanism, first of all, used to set the second time zone. That is what you see through that cutout, which operates without conventional pivots, and the Spiromax balance spring made of Selenvar. This was lot number 2579, the Patek Philippe Aquanaut Advanced Research, Aquanaut Travel Time, reference 5650G. The estimated value of this piece puts the value of this watch in excess of $250,000 in US dollars. Let's change things up a little bit. Lot 2560. This is a rare hand-wound chronograph piece by Patek Philippe, reference 1579. Let's read about it. A 36 millimeter yellow gold case that has very distinctive and stylized spider lugs, a silver dial with Arabic numerals, feuille hands, and heat-blued chronograph hands for the centrally deployed seconds, as well as the 30-minute totalizer. The piece comes with an extract from the archives, as well as a movement, as well as a report by Eric Tortella. This hand-wound chronograph was built on 13 ligne caliber by Valjoux, manufactured in 1949 It was delivered on August 12th, 1950. It looks like a stunning example. The scales for the subdials are rendered in the railroad track style, both for the continuous running seconds and the 30-minute totalizer. 3 o'clock. The 13 ligne 130 movement is finished to the highest of standards as a Valjoux base, as you can see here. Its DNA more immediately recognizable as Patek Philippe, a finished chronograph movement, than anything else, to be brutally honest. Beautiful dial made by none other than Stern Frère on a silver plate base, engraved sunken registers, matte silver satiné opaline surface, engraved enameled second scale, fifth of a second, and tachymeter scale on the periphery of the dial. The applied hour markers at 12 and 6 o'clock, the Arabic numerals, are complemented with 8 pyramid shape small indices for the rest of the hours, hand cut out of yellow gold. The handsets in leaf style, feuille, are also gold, as is the continuous running seconds hand. The chronograph seconds hand and the register hands are heat blued stainless steel. The dial remains in original condition and is unrestored. The case is made by Venga. This is lot number 2560. 36 millimeter Patek Philippe chronograph from around the year 1950, reference 1579 in yellow gold. The pre-auction estimate puts the value of this watch at its lower end, in excess of low six figures, in excess of 100,000 in US dollars. Hey, Shamba, nice to see you, man. It's really a beautiful watch. And kind of like an all-star team in terms of the suppliers that have contributed their own parts, right? You know, the Stern brothers dial, the Venga case, so on and so forth, the Valjoux movement. At 2561, we have a 344817. This is the so-called Padellone because of its broad and wide dial, a perfectly round case that has an integrated 9-row brick style bracelet rendered all in 18 karat yellow gold. This is reference 3448/17, a very well preserved example of a self-winding perpetual calendar from Patek Philippe with the moon phase indicator. And as you can perhaps already tell, a German calendar. This is Sunday and July. The font they use for the pointer date is also beautiful, which encircles the moon phase at 6 o'clock. Stick markers and Dauphine hands. Very plain and elegant display through a combination of two aperture and an oversized pointer date at 6 o'clock. This is the self-winding caliber with the full rotor rendered in 18 karat yellow gold. The movement itself carrying the hallmark of Geneva, even as it beats away discreetly under a solid case back. With practically its full set of accessories, a certificate of origin even that is signed by Ari Stern. The moon phase itself is beautiful, of course, because the stars and the moon itself is fashioned out of yellow gold, even as the background is chanlevé enamel. So each time it is, in an important way, a hand made detail, that moon phase indicator. Very unique and beautiful. This is lot number 2561, manufactured in 1978. 3448/17. Very well preserved 18 carats yellow gold self-winding perpetual calendar by Patek in a 37 millimeter case on an integrated bracelet in the 9-row brick style. The lower end of that pre-auction estimate puts the value of this watch in excess of 178,000 in US dollars. At the next lot, 2562, we have the same reference with the lugs presented on a leather strap, matching tank buckle. This is the reference 3448 encased in a 37 millimeter 18 karat yellow gold case. The same self-winding perpetual calendar reference, retailed in late 70s by the famous jeweler Gubelin, famous Swiss jeweler. With crisp hallmarks that testify to the great condition of the case for this 3448. The second signature within the pointer date / moon phase indicator subdial by Gubelin, accompanied by an extract from the archives as well as a certification by Gubelin as well that certifies to the authenticity of that co-signature and provides an extra certitude of provenance. This is lot number 2562, a Patek Philippe self-winding perpetual calendar retailed in the late 70s by Gubelin and rendered in an 18 karat yellow gold 37 millimeter case. The pre-auction estimate of this particular piece places its value in excess of 153,000 in US dollars. Oh, that's quite all right, man. I hope everything is okay with the family. Nice to see you as always. At 2563, we have a reduced size Patek Philippe Nautilus. This is the 3800 in stainless steel. Unlike the original Jumbo 3700, this is a case that has been shrunk to 37.5 roughly. This particular example has been produced right around 2000. Another difference of the reduced size of the reference 3800 is the addition of the sweep center second hand. As you know, the original Jumbo, both for the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak and the Patek Philippe Nautilus, running on the same Jaeger-LeCoultre caliber 920, actually lack a second hand, although I think that turns them into something even more unique and mysterious as mere two-handers. 3800 offers that center sweeping seconds. Of course, here, what is unique is the dial, which has been replaced by Patek Philippe in the service. And this is something that is certified by the extract from the archives. It's called the telephone dial because its appearance, especially in the form of the font used for the Arabic numerals, reminds you of those rotary dial phones. What I really like about it is this tone of anthracite gray that is finished in sunburst, very eye-catching, and those thin pencil hands certainly add to the quirky charm of this unique and rare appearance of a reduced size Patek Philippe Nautilus in all in stainless steel. This is lot number 2563. The pre-auction estimate puts the value of this watch at around $51,000 at the lower end. At lot 2564, we have the Nautilus Comet. This particular example is from 2001. The 3710 was introduced in 1998, and at least by some accounts, with the addition of the power reserve indicator at 12 o'clock, it was the first complicated Nautilus. I contest that narrative a little bit. I think a power reserve indicator, is it really a complication? What are we talking about here? But at any rate, technically, it is what it is. It has a unique matte black dial. Railroad track for the minutes and seconds on the periphery of that dial. Roman numerals applied and filled in with lume. And sweeping central seconds hand. It has a very unique appearance that distinguishes it severely from the original Nautilus Jumbo, reference 3700. And for the longest time, the piece was not very desirable. But nowadays, both with that particular distinction that I outlined, technically, this is the first complicated Nautilus. And also because of the limited number of the comets of the 3710s produced, this particular reference number has really skyrocketed in price. And you can see that in the pre-auction estimates of this particular model as well. The piece was discontinued in 2006 at the 30th anniversary of the model. This particular example at lot number 2564 has a pre-auction estimate which is in excess of 51,000 in US dollars. Please hit the like button if you haven't already. Thank you for your presence and support. I really appreciate you. I'm covering the Ultimate Collection, which is a live event that's going to take place at Christie's Hong Kong on May 26th. I dedicated yesterday night's live stream to the contemporary and vintage Rolex examples, which covers some of the usual suspects, but also includes very interesting and unique pieces. I covered some of the interesting Audemars Piguet Royal Oaks that the collection also included, some incredible rare pieces by Erlang und Söhne as well, which testifies to the passion and discerning taste of this particular collector. This is, after all, a single owner auction. And finally, I'm focusing tonight on the Patek Philippe models. If you have any questions, if you want to direct my attention to any one of these particular lots, please feel free. This is lot number 2565. It is the new Nautilus Jumbo reference. (5811G) with the blue gradient dial, the revised, slightly revised case design. And this is an example from the first year of production. The ribbed dial that is part of the visual signature of this design. Sunburst blue with black gradient rim. The updated bracelet with the quick adjustment clasp. The piece comes with its full set of accessories. This is lot number 2565. The new Patek Philippe Nautilus Jumbo 5811G. The lower end of the pre-auction estimate puts the value of this watch in excess of $102,000 US. At the next lot, number 2566, we have a double-sealed Patek Philippe Nautilus Jumbo from the previous generation, 5711/1A-010. This is the integrated bracelet stainless steel version, offered here in a double-sealed fashion, just as it left the Patek Philippe manufacturer in 2017. This is once again 5711A, the now discontinued reference of the Patek Philippe Nautilus, just as it left the Patek Philippe manufacturer in 2017. The pre-auction estimate at number 2566 puts the value of this watch minimum around 83,000 in US dollars. At 2567, we have a specimen that is an example of the same reference number, but this is the olive green dial that has been part of the Victory Lap, that has been the part of the parting words of that now iconic reference, 5711/1A-014. The Nautilus Jumbo in integrated stainless steel with the olive green dial, which had a production run that was basically a year, a very short run, a very limited quantity watch. This is lot number 2567. The now discontinued Patek Philippe Nautilus Jumbo in stainless steel with the green dial. The pre-auction estimate puts the value of this watch in excess of $250,000. That is US dollars, of course. A variation of the theme at lot 2568. This is the 5711R, specifically 5711/1R-001. The Patek Philippe Nautilus Jumbo in the now discontinued 5711 reference, entirely executed in 18 karat pink gold, case and integrate bracelet and all, with the gradient brown dial that is unique to the pink gold. And this particular example from the last year of its run is now offered here as part of the Ultimate Collection auction that is going to take place on May 26th at Christie's Hong Kong, with a pre-auction estimate that puts the value of this watch minimum in excess of 89,000 US dollars. At lot 2569, we have the Nautilus Moon Phase, micro rotor caliber, and the asymmetric dial that includes an off-center seconds dial at 4 o'clock, at 7 o'clock, a pointer date that also encircles a moon phase indicator, and at 10 o'clock, a power reserve indicator as well. 5712 was introduced on the occasion of the 30th anniversary of the model, and it followed on the heels of a very short production run of 3712, which has some cosmetic distinctions which make it very unique and quite desirable and collectible because of its limited production. But 5712 has had a great run, even though it had to remain in the shadow of the time and date version of the 5711 Jumbo. But both due to its quirky dial design, its asymmetric dial layout, due to its romantic complication, the moon phase indicator on the dial, and also with the slender profile that is granted to it thanks to the micro rotor caliber, it certainly has carved out its own niche. The 5712 here in 18 karat pink gold on an integrated bracelet with the sunburst dégradé brown dial. This is the 5712/1R-001 in an absolutely mint condition from 2022, offered at lot number 2569 with a pre-auction estimate, which puts the value of this watch in excess of 140,000 in US dollars at the lower end of that estimate. Lot 2570 is the stainless steel version of this model, 5712A, 5712/1A-001, stainless steel on the integrated bracelets. Here, it is actually offered exactly in the same way in which it left the manufacturer in 2018, 5 years ago. Double sealed. The pre-auction, estimate places the value of this piece minimum in excess of 76,600 in US dollars. The next lot is the annual calendar, the Patek Philippe Nautilus annual calendar 5726A in stainless steel. It is also offered in a double sealed package accompanied by its full set of accessories. The annual calendar model has its own flock, in a sense, has its own niche, has its own admirers because of its bulkier, larger wrist presence. This particular piece is from 2023, offered in the way it left the manufacturer. This is lot 2571 for the Patek Philippe Nautilus annual calendar, 5726/1A-014 in stainless steel, integrated bracelet and all. The pre-auction estimate puts the value of this watch in excess of 89,000 in US dollars at its lower end. Number 2572 is the Patek Philippe Nautilus self-winding flyback chronograph. This is the two-tone execution, stainless steel with pink gold details, which include the polished center links, the porthole styled bezel, the chronograph pushers, and the crown, to say nothing of the accents and fixtures on the dial. The dial is in a very rich, inky shade of blue in that typical ribbed decoration. The 5980 is the reference number for this self-winding flyback chronograph in the Nautilus case. The reference number for the two-tone execution is 5980/1 AR, Acier and Rose -001 on the integrated bracelet. From about 2 years ago, the piece comes in mint condition with its full set of accessories, and its value is estimated at the low end at around 77,000 US dollars. Lot number 2573 is yet another double sealed piece. As I mentioned before, these kinds of combinations of utilitarian complications have proved very popular and very useful in Patek's sports watches, whether we are talking about the Nautilus or the Aquanaut, the flyback chronographs on their own or in combination with the travel time complication, or alternatively, the travel time complication itself has played an important role in the Aquanaut's case, in putting it on the map in earnest, and in the case of the Nautilus, certainly increasing and intensifying its already hyped up desirability. Lot number 2573 is 5990, 5990/1R-001, which is the Patek Philippe Nautilus in an 18 karat pink gold version, self-winding flyback chronograph, and travel time. The piece has both complications: the flyback chronograph, which has a 60 minutes register at 6, and of course a centrally deployed seconds hand. And you have the travel time, which has its 2 extra pushers to operate the jumping hour hand in 1 hour increments back and forth. There's also a pointer date at 12 o'clock, which both balances the dial and serves a useful function. You have also day and night indicators for both local and home time. This is lot number 2573. Patek Philippe Nautilus reference 5990/1R-001, just as it left the manufacturer last year. This is the Patek Philippe Nautilus in 18 karat pink gold case and integrated bracelet and all, with the self-winding flyback chronograph and travel time functions. The pre-auction estimate of this piece situates its value at around $180,000 at its lower end, 180,000 US dollars. At the next lot, number 2574, we have the same watch, this time rendered all in stainless steel, 5990A, specifically reference 5990/1A-001. Stainless steel on the integrated bracelet. What you have here is the combination of the flyback, self-winding flyback chronograph with the travel time complication in a stainless steel Nautilus case. The piece has a gradient gray dial with the classic ribbed design pattern. And this particular example at lot 2574 that arrives in good condition with its full set of accessories, has a pre-auction estimate which places its value at minimum in excess of 83,000 US dollars. Lot 2575 brings us the same watch, this time with the classic black and blue dial with the ribbed pattern, sunburst blue at the center with a gradient black rim. The combination of the self-winding flyback chronograph with the travel time in the stainless steel Patek Philippe Nautilus case on an integrated bracelet. This is the reference 5990/1A-011. The pre-auction estimate of this watch places its value in excess of 102,000 in US dollars. That was lot number 2575 for a stainless steel Patek Philippe Nautilus self-winding flyback chronograph, travel time 5990A. Lot number 2579 is the 40th anniversary edition of the Patek Philippe Nautilus in an enlarged white gold case and with the flyback chronograph function. This was one of the two limited edition watches released in 2016 to celebrate the 40th anniversary of Jarrajanta's iconic design. This series included 5711P, which was offered in platinum with baguette cut diamond indices. And with the special engraving on the dial. These two pieces were both presented in these cork presentation boxes, which harkened back to the original presentation boxes in which Patek Philippe delivered the 3700 Nautilus Jumbo. As you can see, this piece arrives with its full set of accessories, including the certificate of origin and attestation, by Patek Philippe. This is the 5976/1G in a single sealed version. You can see the corrector there, the pin pusher. With the engraving 1976, 40, 2016, and the unique and practical expression of all the chronograph registers in a single oversized subdial at 6, baguette cut diamonds for the indices, and a very rich, unique blue dial that was one of the earmarks of these limited editions. This is the 40th anniversary limited edition Patek Philippe Nautilus self-winding flyback chronograph, offered in an enlarged 18-karat white gold case in 44 millimeters, 12.16 millimeters thick. This particular example, single sealed at lot number 2576, is offered with a pre-auction estimate that puts the value of the watch in excess of $250,000 in US dollars, of course. If you have any requests before I log off, because I have about 2 more watches to present, feel free to send in a super chat with any watch related questions whatsoever. It can also be, of course, one of the lots included in this auction. So if you click the link, you will see the listings. If you have any requests of watches that I've covered before or of watches that I have skipped, please feel free to reach out. This is the other 40th anniversary model that I was just talking about, the 5711P, specifically reference 5711/1P-001, executed fully in 18 carats, executed fully in platinum, 0.950 platinum, case and integrated bracelet and all, in a rich blue dial that was preserved for these platinum 40th anniversary editions, uniquely presented in that cork presentation box that echoed the original presentation boxes for the Patek Philippe Nautilus Jumbo, with its full set of documents and accessories. This 40th anniversary Patek Philippe Nautilus Jumbo in platinum, with that rich blue dial that has the 40th anniversary engraving at 6 o'clock 40 from 1976 to 2016. The hour markers are, of course, in this case, 2 baguette cut diamonds. A beautiful and very limited piece presented here in double sealed fashion, which means it remains exactly the way in which it left the Patek Philippe manufacturer in 2017. This is lot number 2577 for the Patek Philippe Nautilus Jumbo in platinum 5711P, commemorating the 40th anniversary of the design. This piece has a pre-auction estimate that puts the value of the watch in excess of $357,000 at the lower end of the estimate. Lot number 2578 is the last watch I'll be covering today, unless you send in a special request. And the last watch I'll be covering from the Christie's Hong Kong live auction that is going to take place on May 26th. The Ultimate Collection, covering a single owner collection that includes some incredible pieces, contemporary and vintage Rolex, contemporary, vintage and neo-vintage Patek Philippe, a lot of important and historically significant pieces by Alain Gonzone, very significant and unique examples of the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak, a lot of great watches by F.B. Jean as well, and some other independents, including Grönefeld in 1941 Remontoir in stainless steel and an ice blue dial that was made by Kari Voutilainen's workshop. The final one that I am sharing with you is the Patek Philippe Nautilus Perpetual Calendar. This is a beautiful piece, very elegant, very classically proportioned, less than 9 millimeters thick at 8.8. In white gold and with that classic blue dial. This is in so many ways the top of the line Patek Philippe Nautilus, still an application piece that was delivered in very limited numbers, even now, even though it was, I think, announced was introduced, I think, in Basel 2018. And I think to this day, it's been delivered in very limited numbers through application to a select group of collectors. This particular example, therefore, is even more precious, and it remains exactly in the same condition as it left the manufacturer in 2019, since it is still double sealed. The Patek Philippe Nautilus Perpetual Calendar in 18 karat white gold on a matching integrated bracelet. This is the reference 5740/1G-001. Already a modern classic in so many ways, built on the ultra-thin micro-rotor self-winding caliber 240Q for Canciem. The classic blue dial with the horizontally ribbed pattern, applied luminous indices and hands, just like the time and date only, just like the Nautilus Jumbo, only enhanced by the prestige complication of perpetual calendar. Incredibly balanced 40 millimeter case with these three subdials. The oversized subdial for the pointer date and the moon phase indicator, asserting itself uniquely at 6 o'clock. Very beautiful looking in 18 karat white gold, in that playful contrast of mirror polished and grain brushed surfaces. A modern classic Patek Philippe Nautilus perpetual calendar, 5740/1G 001 in 18 karat white gold, presented here as double sealed as it left the Patek Philippe manufacturer more than 3 years ago at lot number 2578. The estimated value of this watch is at around 192,000 US dollars at its low end. This was lot number 2578 for the Patek Philippe Nautilus perpetual calendar in 18 karat white gold. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I am grateful for your presence and support. Please don't forget to hit the like button on the way out. If you want to support the channel, if you would like to contribute, if you want this channel to remain fully independent and autonomous, at the behest and in the service of its audience, please feel free to contribute. The information is included in the video description, and it is now actually crawling in the rolling ticker. I'm also posting the links in the chat. Feel free to click. Any contribution is appreciated. If you would join me on Patreon, you also get an exclusive benefit in the form of additional content on a daily basis that gives you 3 links to watch deals online, 3 watches that I curate around a very specific theme, be it a particular brand, model, genre, or complication. And I actually choose these watches, of course, primarily because they present value propositions. But since I also justify my choices, the whole thing, especially thanks to the extra recording, ends up being quite educational and informative for everyone involved. So if you would like to keep a pulse of the market and learn a lot about vintage, near vintage, and contemporary watches on a day-by-day basis, feel free to join me on Patreon. The tiers are very clearly laid out, and you'll also have a one-on-one access with me where you can direct some of the content that I offer on Patreon and here. where you can at least have some sort of input, uh, something that is tailored towards your interests. And of course, I also remain at your service with any watch related questions, as well as trying to help you acquire the next addition to your collection. All of that being said, again, thank you so much for your presence and support today. Please don't forget to hit the like button if you haven't. If you haven't subscribed, I'm here every day with watch content. Please stay tuned. Hit the subscribe and the notification bell so that my videos show up in your feed. I'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow, where I will share more auction related news and new watch releases. Maybe we'll talk about a couple of interesting things that have been kind of making their way through my mind as well. If you have any suggestions or recommendations, please feel free to email me at Lord Hellespont the fifth at gmail.com. That is Lord Hellespont V at gmail.com. You can see it in the rolling ticker. Take care, stay healthy, wear your watches and enjoy them. And I will see you in the next one. Until then, I bid you adieu.